Hi subscribers and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be covering an extremely important topic, which is Brite Pensions and US assets and your options explained. This morning I have Jonathan Laws, our senior advisor, who's joining us from Richmond. Jonathan, how are you?
Not bad. Slightly chilly, but it's warming up later this week, so I'll be in a better mood then.
Very good. All right, so if you found this video, you almost certainly already understand a little bit about Brite and what's going on there. But Jonathan, if you could please give us a quick overview of Brite Pensions and US assets, please.
Yeah, so obviously if you're watching this video, there's a good chance you are involved in the Brite situation, mainly as a member. And basically what we want to do is kind of give you a bit of a brief overview of everything that's gone on up to the date where we are now. The next couple of key dates, and then kind of give you a bit of an optimistic, well, not necessarily optimistic, but view on when we think the money is actually going to be returned to Brite members and when you'll be officially formally eligible to quote unquote move on with your life. So yeah, that's what we want to do today.
Understood. And for John, for any of our viewers or Brite members who aren't quite sure how their pension is structured, where should they begin in terms of looking at their paperwork or online access, etc.?
Yeah, so obviously at the moment, all the assets or the vast majority of assets are located on the Brite platform, which is in Australia. And then essentially there are two positions you're going to be in. One is you are a member inside a pension wrapper, whether that's a UK pension, mainly a SIPP, self-invested personal pension, or a QROPS, a qualified recognised overseas pension scheme, which will be in Gibraltar or Malta. But there are also some, but Brite, who are with them in Hong Kong, and etc., and a few even in separately managed funds in Australia. So those are that's the key area as a pension trustee. And then the other one is those that are actually direct platform clients. So actually went direct onto the Brite platform, no trustee or anything like that. They are directly involved in that.
Understood. And if somebody were assessing their options right now, John, and understanding what's going on, I mean, we're not here today to talk about too much of the legalities and that side of it. Obviously, the courts are dealing with that, and the courts that are involved are very good at doing these types of things. But what would your general advice be to someone now, John, who's perhaps been through a little bit of a headache and potentially heartache with some of this? What would your general advice be to them now?
Yeah, so the general advice is, we are not a million miles away from quote unquote judgment day. Our kind of view is that there's several court hearings coming up at the end of this month. Planned for April, May. The timeline has been pushed back yet again. I mean, if anyone who's ever dealt or read anything about or anything like this, the deadline, the initial timetable is very rarely particularly accurate. So pushing more like a late summer kind of return time. But you gotta look at it and go, right, I'm in a position now, I'm gonna get, vast majority of my money back, touch wood, and I need to kind of find a new home and move on and go in the plan and live my retirement that I've spent the last 30, 40 years building up for.
Yeah, and just to clarify then, John, so at the moment, can people access their funds on the Brite platform or through Brite Advisors, or they need to wait until the judgment, so to speak?
So there are those who are in drawdown or in the withdrawal process, so they're actually taking money out, whether that's from regular income payments from a pensions or tax-free cash or anything like that. All that kind of stuff that was agreed to prior to Brite going into administration or receivership. Or those who, for whatever particular reason, have demonstrated to the receivers, McGrath and Nickel, that they are indeed, in desperate need of those money or in need of those money, i.e. they are in retirement and spending it and they need it for regular retirement income. Otherwise, no, the assets are stuck where they are at the moment. You can't move them yet. You need, because obviously they need to be proportionally appropriated for all the what's ever gone on. Ultimately. So no, you're stuck with Brite for the moment, but that doesn't mean you can't go away and plan and get in a position that when you do have the ability to make a decision and what you do with them, you're all guns blazing, ready to go.
And John, I know that specifically you're very into the Brite topic, and I know that you've spoken with probably some 20 to 30 Brite clients now, if not more. What's been your kind of like general experience in speaking with them, and what would be your general advice to them now? Obviously, if they've been through a situation or whatever, what would you be saying now when they're looking potentially for a new financial advisor or potentially sticking with their existing financial advisor? What would be your advice to them in terms of the due diligence and homework and whatnot, and questions they should maybe be asking?
Yeah, good question. So I would basically treat it, in my shoes and having spoken with everyone, the best way to treat it is if pretend none of this is happening. Just say, I've got £300,000, £40,000, whatever it may be, inside a UK pension or a Malta pension, and I live here, and I want to do these things, I want to retire, and I want to spend this, and I want to go on these holidays, and yada, 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 and go, right, I want a financial advisor who can help me achieve all of that. Can you, one of the key things obviously is, can you help me? When you're dealing with all these kind of esoteric pension schemes and cross-border advice, the pool of people you can go to is more limited. So obviously making sure they can deal with that is obviously a key thing. But no, then just go through it like it's any normal advice process. Do all your due diligence, do your homework, read the reviews, read their qualifications, speak to existing clients, do your Googling, watch their YouTube channel if they have one. And just kind of, do the full court press, as it were, get all the information you can, and you want to make a really calm, rational decision. You don't want to be impulsive. Not that you will, not that you can be, given everything how long it's taken. But you want to be in a position where you're really comfortable with what you're going to be doing, and then when you do go to make that decision, you're very comfortable with it. You've built a relationship, you build that rapport with. We've got several clients we've done sort of taking over servicing rights for, and we've had 4 or 5 meetings, and we've done all these plans, and that's prior to all the Brite stuff, even being accessible.
Yeah, and I think that we had a motto some months ago, which was keep calm and pension on, which was kind of a case of like you cannot control what hasn't happened inside the scheme and what's going on with your platform, but what you can do is control how you move forward from here, and that should be being calm, rational, making slow and educated decisions. Now, when I say slow, I don't think we necessarily advise waiting until the last minute and then sort of making a mad rush for it, so to speak, in terms of finding a financial advisor. The very best Brite clients that we've been speaking with have been slowly doing their research, having numerous meetings with our financial advisors. And actually some of them, and John, you can tell me better, but a lot of them had never done things like voyant cash flow planning before speaking with yourself, right?
Yeah, no, it was quite clear. Again, this is not a Brite thing. This is in general. A lot of people, a lot of advisors and stuff weren't, doing the most in terms of, ongoing value add. I always joke, once a year chin wag to pretend I review about the markets is a lot of what annual reviews seem to be. But no, you can do all of that. Do all your financial planning. What about other assets you've got? Whether you live in the US and you've got 401ks and IRAs and 529 plans and all the rest of it. You can do all this planning in the background. The pension is probably a key part or a foundational pillar of your retirement, but it's not the only thing that's important. And there'll be other areas that a financial advisor will be able to add immense value.
But what about for obviously people who are feeling, their trust is feeling gone? In the world, financial advisors have not always got the best reputation, whether that be in the UK or outside of the UK. Obviously, the UK has managed to dramatically clean its act up over the course of the past 10 to 20 years. But in that context of an industry where people are already not very trusting of financial advisors, they've now been through a situation like this. What would your advice be to them if they're obviously feeling a bit uncertain and a bit worried?
Yeah, so the first thing would be to say, that's completely understandable. I mean, I'm not surprised, given everything that's gone on and all the rest of it and all the things and, whatever, you're not going to be in a position where you're probably not going to be in a position where you're the most trusting of financial advisors, and perhaps you've got a bit of trust issues in relation to that. So, yeah, and this is the opportunity now where, whether it's, you speak with Cameron James or another advisor for your advisor you deal with to rebuild that trust and earn the trust and respect that, of the profession. So, yeah, I completely understand it. And that's why you've got to do your due diligence. You might have felt like you've been burnt before. Some of you might have been burnt once or twice in certain situations. So, you want to make sure that if you do choose the advisor, that it's a really informed decision. And then, you fundamentally like them and you trust them. And that's the key thing.
And some of your Brite clients that you're currently working with now, John, you've completed sort of change of servicing agent with them for many months now, but obviously you've not been taking any ongoing fees because the assets are frozen. How has, joining you as a financial advisor allowed those clients to start rebuilding that trust in mankind or womankind, whatever I should say, so to speak, in terms of that relationship with a financial advisor?
Yeah, you can kind of see when you're doing it and you're building a financial plan with clients and you're chatting about these things. I've got some clients who've had advisors for 3 or 4 years in the US and, had no idea what an IRA was. They have children, but they've got no 529 plans. There was very little for the ones I've seen, financial planning. All these key amazing things, okay, great. We missed out on those 5 years of contributions and planning and this, that, and the other, but let's make the most of it and start off on the right foot from here. And, there are so many areas, when you're dealing with cross-border financial planning to add value and be able to, make your retirement as strong and as flexible as possible, that weren't being taken advantage of. So now's the opportunity to do that. As I said, many of our clients, we've ended up, we'll be doing the Brite stuff eventually whenever that's ultimately done in the summer. But, we've already helped with 401ks. We've already helped sell the 529 plans, health savings accounts, everything. And actually doing full, comprehensive, holistic financial planning as opposed to just being a kind of, pensions investment manager, which unfortunately seems to have been the case for a lot of the Brite clients experience I've spoken with.
Yeah, and that seems to be true for us, like not just with Brite clients that we come across, but also on our UK and our European licenses. Typically speaking, somebody's UK pension asset might have been 500,000 or 1 million or 2 million, whatever it was, is kind of the sweetest part of the person's financial planning, and i.e. typically the one where the largest amount of initial fees or ongoing fees or commission, however people have been charged over the course of the years, are possible. But that's not the only part of the person's financial planning. So as Jonathan's mentioned, we've had so many Brite clients that we've started working with where we go through the full client profile with them, and it's actually like there's so many other areas they're not working on. So whilst the Brite stuff resolves itself, we can actually start showing them and proving them how we work with our clients, as we call it, full fat financial planning, which is actually a holistic review of everything in their portfolio. I know, John, some clients you've been working with, some Brite clients have felt very apprehensive about sharing information about other assets. They're thinking, well, hang on a minute, they feel burnt on their 500,000 or whatever it was. They don't want to share information about the rest of their financial planning. There's even been some clients who sort of refuse to share any further information other than their Brite because they're kind of in that scared mentality that something else can happen to it. But again, what would be sort of the success stories you've seen of clients who have sort of accepted what's happened, opened up, done full client profiles with you, and they're now improving and building trust with other areas first?
Yeah, no, and it's not surprising, and I don't blame anyone. Especially this day and age with private data and all the rest of it, you want to make sure it's safe and secure, and and all of that is why we have the Cameron James philosophy with all this inbound marketing. We don't go out and cold call anyone; everyone comes to us. So we're very big on data and doing things the right way to begin with. But yes, it isn't going to be easy. You're going through this process and you don't know whether you've lost 10%, 15%, whatever it may be of your pension assets, because you trusted the wrong platform or whatever it may be. And you're not possibly going to be in a position, where you're so willing to share all that information. So that's where building the rapport, spending the time to get, to vet us. We like to joke we're vetting you as much as you're vetting us when we're kind of going through the whole discovery process. But this is where you build that trust, where you go, oh, I really trust Jonathan, I really trust Andrea, I really trust Nathaniel, whatever it may be, whoever it may be, and you go, right, okay, now I really trust them. They've got a secure way. They're going to share the thing, share my data. We're going to build a comprehensive financial plan. They're going to give me really good, honest, ethical advice. But yeah, it is understandable if it takes a bit of time to get to that stage. The only other thing is though, when you do go and make a decision, you do want to be fully transparent with your advisor before you do that, because you need to make sure that you're obtaining the best advice and doing all the right things. Because if you're only showing half the information or shielding certain things, that can make any advice given unsuitable, or perhaps just less suitable.
Yes, understood. And John, any final comments for any Brite clients? I mean, some of them might be some of your existing clients or any prospective clients. What would be sort of your final comments to them? Obviously, we know hopefully what's coming towards the summer. What would be your advice to them now in terms of a game plan of like doing their research and, finding whom they believe to be the correct individual or company to look after them and their retirement moving forward?
Yeah, so, reach out, speak with loads of advisors, go through a full advice process, get advice report. What are they actually going to tell you to do? When it's written down on paper, because you can say whatever you want over the phone or email, it's what you actually put in that signed suitability report, or prospective suitability report, whatever you want to call it, before the assets are released. That's ultimately what's going to be. And then you use that to go away, right? Well, these are the list of options these are what they told me I should do. Here's the investment portfolio, here's the different funds, here's the different trustee, the platform, whatever it may be. And then you can go off and do your due diligence, research them, and be in a position where you're like, right, this is a really good, strong, robust SIPP trustee and SIPP provider, and these are really sound investments, and the performance has been really good. And they told me about the ongoing service and all the rest of it. And you want to be in a position where you have as much information as possible to make a fully informed decision. And, if we've got still another 3-4 months or whatever it may be, if not longer, perhaps, before the funds are released, now is a really good time to do all this whilst all the stuff's going on in the background with the receivership.
Yeah, understood. And for us here at Cameron James, we understand for all Brite clients, it's been a difficult period. And as CEO and founder here at Cameron James, I've actually offered and spoken to a number of Brite clients who just want to have a little bit more extra comfort and surety in joining Cameron James, and that we say we do things differently here, and obviously we're allowing Brite clients to even reach out to some of our existing clients that have been working with us for a number of years, whether they be in Europe or the US, or even some clients who've gone back to the UK. So yeah, please do feel free to reach out by having a conversation with us. You do not become a client of ours. There's many rounds of paperwork and diligence before you get remotely close to becoming a client of ours. And obviously, as we know at the moment with Brite Assets, nothing can be done at all. Nothing can be transferred. We can't update the underlying portfolio, but we have been updating the underlying portfolios for some of our Brite clients on other assets and products that they have, in order for them to start seeing how we do our portfolios and also how our ongoing service works. We've had a number of Brite clients who have already had their annual forward planning meeting this year in 2025 because they joined us in 2024 because they made the decision from the beginning, okay, I'm going to find my new financial advisor early, so I'm not sort of scrambling or rushing. I think there's a lot of clients who are kind of waiting for judgment day, and then they're going to decide what to do. I personally think that's not such a good strategy as a client. I'd be wanting to reach out now when you have the time, when there's no rush, there's no panic, you have months to do your research, find the person you feel most comfortable with and begin a relationship with them. And of course, if you begin a relationship now with any financial advisor, nothing can physically happen until the Brite assets have obviously been released. So you have plenty of time to get to know that company and understand how they work. So Jonathan, thank you for joining me this morning. I'll let you get back to a cold Richmond. And yeah, thank you. I look forward to speaking with you soon.
Yeah, see you.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.